I'd like your thoughts on this one. Do you think politicians should simply stop accepting freebies? 0207 862 2222. Do get your calls in now. The Prime Minister's indicated he's going to carry on accepting gifts from a Labour donor despite backlash over his wife's clothing. So Keir Starmer's facing questions over his alleged failure to declare high-end clothing given to Lady Starmer by Lord Alli properly. MPs are supposed to register gifts and donations within 28 days. But do you think the whole practice simply needs to come to an end? Andy, what about this? Because, Keir Starmer is a high earner and has been for years. His wife, Victoria, works in the NHS. She earns about £50,000 a year. What kind of a look do you think this is? I mean, the look of the clothes, delightful, of course. But what kind of look is it to be getting these freebies? Does it just look greedy to you?
I've got no problem at all with the First Lady of our country borrowing clothes to go to a fashion show. She's representing our country. She's playing a role there that is helping to promote our fashion industry to the rest of the world. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no issue with Keir Starmer accepting a place in a box at a football game because it's for his safety, but also the safety of other fans. He cannot be stuck in the middle of this, crowd with everyone else. I have no issue with this. And to make out that this is equivalent to the sleaze and corruption that we saw for 14 years with the last government, I think is just
What are you talking about particularly? What sleaze and corruption?
Well, I mean, you've got former Attorney General Geoffrey Cox in the Caribbean getting a six-figure salary while apparently investigating tax evasion in the Caribbean. You've got PPE contracts worth billions of pounds during the COVID epidemic given to... You've got a young woman who seems to be entirely unqualified, who looks a bit like Boris Johnson, funnily enough, getting a life peerage. I mean, I could go on for hours.
All right, let's bring Mike into this.
Yeah.
Is it sort of fairly inconsequential? We need
No,
our
it's
PM to look
disgraceful.
smart. We need his wife to look smart.
No.
It's expensive to look that smart.
Keep the clothes. You know that she just borrowed them.
This is one of the issues. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. Lord Alli gives money as a donor, and all of a sudden he's got a free pass to Downing Street, and we'll throw in a couple of suits, and we'll give you some spectacles.
What's wrong
Isn't he a
with
Labour
that?
peer?
Will you have spectacles as well? That is outrageous. That is payment
Labour peer
for
gets
favours.
access to Downing Street.
Why
No
is
other Labour peer does.
Why
No
is
other
it
Labour peer
outrageous?
does.
What's wrong with it? Because you might say, it's a gift. It's all going to be declared
buying
adequately.
influence.
And nobody's hiding anything. So what?
You're buying influence in Downing Street. And the point about the Prime Minister's wife is this. You've just pointed out she only borrowed a dress. Now, you may have been offered dresses in the past, Vanessa.
Certainly have been.
To appear on TV.
Certainly have been. Well, no, not on TV, because then you get into trouble.
Well, all right.
In real life, you can sometimes be offered a dress.
Or to go to events or something like that. A lot of my friends, like Lizzie Cundy, do exactly the same thing. It's part of the world they live in.
Yes.
But it's a commercial deal. The reason you wear that dress is because people know it's the dress made by a particular dress supplier, and the hope is to influence people to buy it. Yes. Now, should the Prime Minister's wife be getting involved in commercial deals?
We've gone through the looking glass mirror into crazy town here.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we have.
We haven't.
Because so were you outraged when 16 former Tory treasurers paid £3 million each and all of them got a peerage? Now, is that not more of a substantial?
I'm sorry, I've no knowledge of that.
I don't think we need a sliding scale. I mean, it's more than enough.
Of course we need
No, we don't really.
£3 million life peerage, borrowed a dress.
Focus on these clothes. The dress last night or the night before was going to a fashion show and representing the fashion designer. Yeah. And you may say that's exactly what the Princess of Wales, Catherine, does. It's what her late mother-in-law did, the late Princess Diana.
They're not running the country.
Exactly, but you wear clothes by a designer. The designer gets publicity.
Exactly.
And if it's a British designer, win-win-win, that's all fine. But what if the dress isn't being worn at a fashion show? The dress is being worn to attend, the Labour Party conference or to attend some other political...
We're saying an NHS worker who's married to the Prime Minister isn't allowed to borrow a dress. I mean, how many women watching, how many men watching have borrowed clothes?
There's a commercial aspect to it, that's why. Because the people who supply the dress will let it be known to the general public, that's our dress. And it's being worn. The other issue.
I don't know if that matters. Isn't it all about it being a present from a donor? It's not that she's wearing a dress by a particular designer. That's perfectly okay.
She's doing that designer a favour.
It's the fact that the Keir Starmer, for example, is being gifted spectacles and ties and shoes. Is it somehow unedifying?
And what about the free tickets?
We know this because they've told us.
What about the free tickets at football matches? So the Prime Minister, I agree with you.
Does he need to go in the box?
Of course he does, in the director's box. But I've never yet read that when he's gone to Arsenal, which is his club, when he's gone to the Emirates and taken a prize seat, I've never read yet the charity donation.
Is it true that you have been disporting yourself in many a football box over the years?
I've probably been into every director's box in every Premier League club in this country because I used to work in sports radio. I get invited. But I can assure you, and anybody listening from any Premier League club here will back this up, whenever I do, I send a donation to the charity of the club, or if it's my mate's box, I send him a case of wine.
All right, we're going to pause here, but please don't go anywhere, as I'm going to be taking your calls on this one after the break. But now, straight to your calls on whether politicians should stop accepting freebies. 0207 862 2222, that's the number. And Chris is on the line in Bristol. Hi, Chris.
Hi, good afternoon. Morning, sorry.
Hi.
And to all of you in the panel.
What do you think about these lovely presents? Clothes, shoes, spectacles, tickets, holidays. Lovely.
It's disgraceful and it's hypocrisy. I've worked for the Environment Agency for many years, and it was a disciplinary offence to accept any gifts, even as much as taking a sandwich if you went on a site visit.
Yes.
And yet the Secretary of State for the Environment, who heads up it ultimately, can freely accept freebies. So it's blatant hypocrisy.
That's a very good point. I mean, Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, politicians put their snouts in the trough. We know that. It's been going on for decades, if not centuries, OK? And they declare it in the House of Commons. And one of the problems here with Keir Starmer was the lack of declaration of certain benefits that had gone to his family, i.e. his wife.
Yes.
So, you know, I do think there is a very, nasty odour emanating from this. And I'd like to know how much more of it is going on in government. I want people to come clean on it, because it shouldn't happen.
And Andy, what about what Chris says? That the lower in the stratosphere were absolutely forbidden from taking anything. Chris says he wasn't even allowed a sandwich or a free biscuit. But those in high office were
Let him have a
allowed
sandwich
to.
and a free biscuit. I mean, I'm no fan of hypocrisy. I don't see any problem if someone offered Chris a free pair of glasses. Give him if he wanted to go a fashion show and a fashion designer said, wear my dress, I'd say, Chris, wear the dress.
Well, let's ask Chris. Hang on one second.
So
Chris,
outrageous.
do you think it would have been problematic if you had been offered, say, sports tickets or a holiday or something?
It was disciplinary. You'd be disciplined because as we were a regulator, if we were deemed to have accepted a gift, you could be compromising your position.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, the biggest regulator of them all is the government. And how can they accept freebies? It's an absolute disgrace.
Well, thank you so much for the call and the conviction and your resolution in not accepting anything.
Sorry, Vanessa.
What?
I just think we're all being brainwashed here into thinking relatively small things are massive. We have examples of a previous government that did far, far more corrupt things, and no one seemed to be disgraced and outraged then. Why now?
I think we lived with disgrace and outrage for years. I don't think there's anything new about that. Roz is on the line in Birmingham. Hi, Roz.
Hi.
What do you feel about free clothes, free holidays, free shoes and all of that?
Well, as I explained to the guy that answered the phone, your last caller, Chris, has just about basically said what I was going to say. I don't understand why they're allowed to accept gifts at all. I, a while ago, was stuck and I had the police come out to me to help me.
Yes.
As a thank you, I sent a tin of biscuits to the police station where they worked.
Yes.
And apparently I was told they can't accept them because it's considered a bribe and they're not allowed to accept bribes.
Fascinating.
I've known that doctors and nurses aren't allowed to accept gifts, even simple gifts like boxes of chocolates, because it's considered, I don't know quite what it's considered, to be honest with you. So why is the government allowed? And they're not freebies anyway. They give these people very expensive gifts. They're going to want something in return.
Totally agree.
I mean, that's the whole point,
Totally
Andy,
agree.
isn't it?
Absolutely.
Why are people gifting the Prime Minister
Roz,
and his
you're
wife?
aware what we're actually talking. We're talking here about borrowing a dress and getting a ticket to a football match so he's away from the crowds and
it doesn't
safe.
matter what it is. If you
As
can't
long as you're outraged by that, I just want to make sure you're outraged by something that frankly is a little bit silly.
I'm outraged by the fact that someone can get away with it and some people can't.
Yeah.
And the people that can't get away with it aren't in power, haven't got the ability to change the country.
I would say the police should have been able to accept your chocolates. I think that's really silly.
And
I think it's really
and I
sad.
think Ros is right, because I know that, for example, Ros, I believe certain teachers in various schools, you know, they put a limit on how much parents can spend on, for example, teachers' end-of-term presents, because they don't want them to be
Ross is
pushed into sort of favouring one child over another because the parent's present is bigger. So, Ros, thank you very much. Let's go to Nikki on the line in Leeds. Hi, Nikki.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you.
Fantastic, thank you. So just to comment really, I find it quite disgusting that we're even talking about this. I mean, in today's society, where we are here and now, people are struggling. People can't even afford to, clothe their children, themselves, or even to buy food. And yet here we are talking about whether or not it's acceptable for the Prime Minister and politicians to receive freebies. Of course it's not. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a slap in the face as well to people that actually really are genuinely struggling. Give the freebies to charity, clothe homeless people, put, the clothes into clothing banks, food banks, whatever it is. It just seems really quite selfish, really, and inconsiderate.
But Nikki, what if the person giving the clothes, giving the glasses, giving whatever it is, wants to spend their money that way? I mean, you could say, well, give it to charity. I mean, that donor may well give a great deal of money to charity as well. Is the donor right to have the right to give the presents to the Prime Minister if that's what he wants to do?
Well, I mean, of course, everyone's got the right to do what they want to do. But for me, as somebody that's a designer of such clothing, I would rather have my name put in the media for the right reasons, to say that you're actually helping people, you're clothing people. Why are we talking about the Prime Minister? We all know that the Prime Minister earns enough money, as I'm sure that his wife does. So to even talk about it on TV just seems a little bit insensitive, I think.
Nikki, thank you very much indeed. I mean, it seems that it was considered by Peter Mandelson and Lord Alli that Keir Starmer's image needed to be sharpened up, Andy. He needed the right kind of shirts and the right kind of ties. And, image is important when people are photographable and always on TV and social media and everything
We have
else.
a Labour peer who's in a perfect position to be able to help him do that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's inappropriate. I really do think we're kind of blowing this out of proportion. If he'd been found to have been given a house or a car or, a holiday to Richard Branson's island or something, yes, I understand.
But he got access
this
to
is
Downing
not
Street.
that. We're not talking about the same thing.
Lord Alli got access to Downing Street. The lady who was propping up the Theresa May government in charge of the DUP, Arlene
Phillips,
thank you very much indeed. She didn't have the equivalent pass to Downing Street when she was propping up the government that Lord Alli got for giving a few suits to Keir Starmer. I mean, it's a massive prize. Nobody gets it except the guy who gives a few suits to Keir Starmer. And that, I think, speaks volumes.
Robin's on X, and Robin says, set a threshold, say £500, above which they should say no. I mean, there is this idea that, you can accept something, but it shouldn't be worth a great deal of money. I think the clothes were over £17,000.
Exactly.
Well, it's a lot of clothes and outfits.
It's not a Marks and Spencer suit, is it?
It's not clothes.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
they were nice clothes, though.
He looks,
Britain makes good clothes.
I think particularly Lady Victoria looks absolutely terrific, but is that the point?
I'm quite proud looking at them both. They look gorgeous. I would want my Prime Minister and First Lady, and I'm calling her our First Lady.
By the way, Arlene Phillips is the choreographer and former Strictly judge. Arlene Foster is the name that you were looking for.
But when you say you're quite proud of the way the Prime Minister looks, this is a man who earns £161,000 a year. Of course he should have good suits, but he should pay for them himself, not go around grubbing.
Thank you so much for your...